In Swindon, Jo Wilson and her neighbours were living in fear of what their new neighbour, Lily Goddard, might do next. After she'd installed a huge static caravan in front of her home and moved into it.
It was just shocking.
It made no sense.
What's more, Jo was concerned that Lily could be renting out her house to multiple occupants and immediately hit the internet to see what she could find out about her new neighbour.
Found an article going back to 2016 that showed that Lily was taken to court for a house of multiple occupancy where she didn't comply to regulations, and she was fined by Environmental Health for just under £3,000. Myself and the neighbours were very shocked. We thought, how can she get away with this? We just thought, no, this can't be happening.
We asked Lily to tell us about who lived in her property.
I'm not running an HMO. I have one tenant. Sometimes, in few occasions, I ask my nanny to sleep over, to help me with some sleeping difficulties, what my youngest child recently had.
Lily also claimed that many builders visited the property to give her quotes for renovation work to the house. However, the neighbours feared that Lily's property across the green had some new residents, so Jo contacted the council. But little did she know that Lily had even bigger plans.
And I could see that there was some plastic going down, and I didn't actually quite understand what it was. It looked like sort of plastic tracking that you would have down at festivals on the grass for heavy traffic load. I just thought, anybody think we were at Glastonbury?
Much to Jo's horror, the plastic tracking was laid all over the communal green. And Jo was sick of it.
I was really annoyed. I just thought, I'm not going to let you carry on like this. It's not your grass, it's not your property, it's the council's. How dare you make a mess? And I have to look at this day in and day out. I just thought, no, I'm not having it. And I just basically went like that and threw it all over there. And I carried on doing that until I picked it all up and threw it over there. I then went out and I came back, and maybe a couple of hours later, and it was back again. I thought, really? So I thought, right. So I went and did exactly the same again, picked it up, threw it back over. And then in the end, she gave up and did put it back down. And I felt, yeah, I've won this one little battle and I've made my point. You can't be doing this and you shouldn't be doing this. And it made me feel a little bit better at that point.
Jo had won the battle, but she still had no idea what Lily needed the plastic tracking for. Tired of being in the dark, the neighbours were desperate for answers.
It was a Sunday afternoon. I got up to make a cup of tea. I just glanced out the window and then I saw my neighbour with Lily and her husband having a bit of confrontation with them. It looked like it was getting a little bit heated.
So Jo took her opportunity to challenge Lily on just what the tracking was doing on the communal green.
I came outside and to Lily and said to her, look at all this tracking, what's all this tracking for? Look at the mess. And all she kept saying was, for deliveries. I said, what deliveries? And she was quite defensive the more I asked her about what do you mean. So in the end, my husband said to her, Lily, come on in now, enough's enough. So me and my neighbour, we just walked away.
I laid these grass protectors down on the grass parallel to the footpath to protect the grass. And the neighbor every morning, coming to me shouting that, I should remove that and checking that everywhere was. And then I just went inside, waited till she finished. And, I had to lay back because for the delivery.
But with concern mounting that Lily's plans could result in more people moving into her property, the community felt that it was time to fight back.
You councillors didn't want to do nothing. You're turning this area into a DOS ground. We've had enough.
In Warrington, Alison Ryan suspected her new neighbours were using the house next door as a brothel after witnessing a flurry of male visitors at all times of day and night.
Judging by the posh cars that were turning up, I would have said they were high-end prostitutes. It was obviously a brothel. There was obviously things that were going on.
The constant noise and activity from the apparent brothel in the street was taking a huge toll on the day-to-day lives of Alison and her neighbours.
It made me quite angry, actually, because all the neighbours down here, they're lovely and a lot of them look after one another. But these two young ladies, they didn't give a toss.
And it wasn't just the sight of the road turning into a red light district that rattled Alison. The booming business next door seemed to be here to stay and was literally causing her sleepless nights.
It was about 11 o'clock and I thought I'd have an early night. Just settled down to read, and initially it was all lovely and quiet, and then the banging started on the wall. That went on for a while. Then the moaning started, and then it got a bit louder. And a bit louder. And a bit louder. And by this time, I'm getting more wound up and more wound up. I was getting to the point where I'm thinking, oh no, I'm getting really anxious. I'm going to have to go and sleep downstairs or something to get a decent night's sleep.
And when Alison did finally drift off to sleep, lie-ins were off limits.
A lot of the time I actually woke up in the morning with the banging and the oohing and ahhing, and so I just laid there and thinking I'm never going to be able to go back to sleep now. So I ended up getting up and just going to make a cup of coffee and then let them get on with whatever they were doing in the bedroom.
But it wasn't just the banging sounds coupled with the midnight moaning that was affecting Alison's quality of life. Witnessing the fruits of their labour would push her to her limit.
The girls went shopping one mid-afternoon. They came back later on, they parked up, went to the boot, they got out shed loads of bags of designer gear, boots, all sorts of things.
Alison was exhausted and desperate for the non-stop disturbance to end. But what she saw next would hammer home just how much business was booming.
I got up, went to draw the curtains back, looked down, and I was absolutely devastated. Where all the rubbish bags were, they'd piled up loads of empty bags of designer stuff, boxes of designer boots.
Seeing their designer spends was all too much for Alison.
I couldn't believe it. Here's me struggling financially. They've been out on a nice big shopping trip and bought all this designer stuff. I can't even afford that. I was really, really pissed off about it.
With no immediate end in sight, it was time for direct action.
It was disgusting. I couldn't put up with it. Why I should have had to put up with it. I wasn't going to put up with it, and so they had to go, basically.
In Swindon, Jo Wilson and her neighbours feared the worst for their street when their new neighbour, Lily Goddard, began living in a static caravan on her front garden, whilst renting out her 3-bed house.
We thought, how can she get away with this?
Already anxious why Lily had laid so much plastic tracking on the green for an expected big delivery, the neighbours were about to get the shock of their lives.
So it was a Friday before Christmas, and my daughter's last day at school, so I was doing the school run. And I get a call from my oldest daughter to say, Mum, you're not going to believe it. She said there's a massive big lorry that's just turned up and it looks like it's going to be offloading a very large object. As I pulled up outside my house, this is what I came back to. And I just could not believe what I was seeing. It made no sense. A massive shipping container being delivered by a truck with a crane, and it was a mess everywhere because it was sinking into the mud. And the size of it, I thought, are they having a laugh? It just blew my mind. It was ridiculous.
Horrified, the neighbours believed the reason the container had been delivered was so it could be repurposed and made ready for new tenants.
And I thought, well, you know, I bet you they're going to rent out the container next.
We asked Lily Goddard what the shipping container was for, and she said she was happy to show us inside.
As you can see, this is mainly a storage place. No one is living here. There is no place. I think it's ridiculous, you know, to think, you know, that anybody could live here. But this is a temporary structure. I put it down, I take it away, you know. I don't think anything illegal on this.
Regardless of what the shipping container was being used for, it was an eyesore that Jo and her neighbours had to face every time they looked out of their window.
As it's now 6 months on, we're getting more and more frustrated. We feel as a community we've done all we can do. We've updated the council numerous times. A lot of the neighbourhoods are sending emails, photos, videos. The council have stopped responding to all of us.
Now, frustrated that nothing has been done, Jo and her neighbours are taking their fight up a level and have brought in the big guns, local political activist Martin Costello.
So I was at home, just browsed in the local community sites, seeing what's going on locally. And much to my horror, this article come up with a shipping container, and I wanted to find out what on earth was going on here. It was very, very concerning. It's a shocking situation. And then my thoughts turned, well, if this is going to be allowed to continue, then where else is it going to happen in town? It's going to keep coming and coming, and people will take advantage of such a situation.
Martin and Jo have organised a community meeting with the aim to restore and protect the community's way of life.
And the council need to be sending someone down to explain what is going on over there, because we've heard nothing. None of the residents heard anything.
They haven't, no. Yep.
I've been speaking to people out there. They confirm that we're coming too. There's a lot of angry people out there.
There is a lot.
I'm not surprised at all. We're like a dog with a bone. We're not going to give up on this.
We are not going to give up.
That is going. That's not staying there.
Now, after 8 months of hell, nearly 60 neighbours have flocked through the doors of the village hall, all desperate to face local councillors and Lily Goddard.
Okay, good evening everyone, and thanks for turning up. It's a massive crowd. It's absolutely fantastic to see, it really is.
First on the agenda is the council's slow response to confront the situation.
We get in contact with council, we let them know there's a problem, and you councillors didn't want to do nothing. And we're telling you, it ain't good enough anymore. We've had enough.
Coming up, will Alison ever be free of her noisy neighbours?
I can't put up with that. They're going to have to go. Can't put up with it anymore.
And with tempers reaching boiling point,
By the law of this land.
will Lily Goddard finally face the music?
We can't listen to anymore. I'm taking the girls out here.
I'm not listening. I will, sweetheart. I'll be down. Good luck, everybody.